I'm Arnold Shuchat. I'm a director with the Real Estate Board of Greater Vancouver, and I'm here with Mike MCARA from REACH. We are at the National Association of Realtor Conference in San Diego, and today we're just going to talk about the phenomenal program that REACH has. Now, for those of you who don't know, REACH is an accelerator. It's a subsidiary of Second Century Ventures, which is a venture capital arm started by the National Association of Realtors years back, and REACH Canada is a Canadian subsidiary. And Mike's going to tell us what REACH does. I'm so fortunate to be a mentor of REACH. I think there's 2 in each province, and maybe more in Toronto.
Yeah. So first off, thanks for wanting to do this, and thanks for wanting to share the message about REACH. And I always find it's kind of fun to tell the story of where it originated. So REACH actually started back in 2013, and the whole premise of REACH was to identify up-and-coming technology solutions for the realtors, for the brokers, put them through a curriculum with mentorship and coming to conventions like the one here we're at San Diego, and really give the tech companies exposure to the real estate ecosystem, to the real estate industry, so that they can build better products and better service their customer, which are the realtors and the brokers, the associations and the executives. And so every year they would select up to 10 companies, work with them, and graduate them at the end. And it was working so well. There's some notable companies that people likely know, like House Canary, Box Brownie, Updater. These are alumni companies that went through in the early days. Fast forward to 2019 or so, and the demand was global. And so the executive team at that time made the decision to want to expand internationally. Started with Australia, so we have a team down in Australia looking at tech solutions for the practitioners. We now have a commercial focused team in the US, so there's 2 teams there. We then, which potentially is going to look at the worst time ever to expand, into Canada and the UK, February of 2020, so right before COVID hit. But what that means now, getting through all of that, is we now have 5 teams around the world whose sole purpose and job is to identify the up-and-coming and emerging technology solutions for the real estate industry as a whole, to empower the realtor to continue to keep them at the center of the transaction and to deliver more value to the consumer moving forward.
So let's get to the nitty-gritty, juicy stuff.
Yeah, totally.
So let's start with open. That's open with 2 ends. As realtors, it's not only the tools we use, but it's helping to solve problems in the real estate market. One of the issues come up is regulation. We know regulation's coming. We know consumers want more transparency, and we know this government's going to go through the optics in British Columbia to make it look like they're imposing something and we're part of the problem. Open is a transaction software that a realtor can use to create transparency in the bidding process. So we've had complaints about somebody bidding $100,000 over when they could have bought the property for $1. Maybe the sellers won't like it, but realtors can adopt the technology, and what will it do for you if buyers will know that listing realtor is going to have a transparent technology platform during the bidding process with timing and all that. So, and not only that, the PR that comes with being able to talk about the solutions that we're bringing, and this is directly as a result of an affiliation with REACH and accelerating the development of that to make the product viable for use.
So Open is a really interesting company from our perspective, on the sense that they actually were first brought on our radar through the REACH Australia program in 2020. They also happen to be a publicly traded company. So when you think startups, you think tech, you think the VC Dragon's Den. But this company is actually traded on the Australian Stock Exchange. So they're a very credible firm from that perspective. Now, why would a company like that need to go through REACH? Well, being an Australian entity, where they're looking to work with the REACH team and ourselves, is to understand the Canadian market, specifically for REACH Canada, and how their solution can be a part of the solution moving forward to empower that transparency. It's worked in Australia, and now they want to work with us to better understand how it can insert itself into the solution going forward.
Okay. What's another exciting one?
I love them all. So
you love them all.
I love them all.
You got a finger in all of them.
Yeah. So we are Watrix.
Oh, Watrix is cool too, because as realtors, after 2019, the amount of flooding and insurance claims that has gone up. 47% of all claims are from water damage. Well, Watrix is an Israeli company that makes a small little gadget that gets put into your water main intake in the house, and learns how you use water, and using artificial intelligence builds up its intelligence in the unit, and if there's a leak, it will detect the leak down to drops, and it's connected to the internet on its own, and it will shut off your water system. So now, imagine a 47th floor condo where the bath drain is plugged, and you have Watrix.
So again, we love all of our companies, and Watrix is a really interesting one from a series of different accords. So first off, they're domiciled in Israel, which again, Reach Canada, what are we doing with Israeli companies? So we do have that global lens. Second accord is, right now, the climate summit is happening in Glasgow. And sustainability and water consumption and the environment is only going to get more and more, I would say, prominent in the conversations. And so what better way from a realtor's perspective than to not only speak knowledgeably about water use, sustainability, but also be able to have a solution at your fingertips that could potentially limit insurance claims, potentially monitor the water in such a way that you know if there's irregular usage patterns. Now this could be great for aged in place living. Think about that if you got an alert that normally, your parent is getting up every morning at 7 a.m. to make coffee, and the water doesn't go on one day. What's going on? Should maybe I check in? So there's different ways to think about this technology and how having that knowledge and being able to utilize it, we talked about this before, potentially even as a closing gift, could be something of significant value.
I'm actually thinking about the insurance companies requiring it and and lowering our deductibles. I mean, if we can reduce that 47% of water damage, and we can be seen to be part of advocating the solution, because we all have, a lot of the boards have government relations, but it's usually very technically related to regulating and disciplining realtors as opposed to used as a voice for advocating solutions in the industry.
Which on that is where they found a lot of their success in Israel, is with the insurance firms. And so when we look at Canada, we look at North America, that would be what we would think to be a natural next progression. That said, it's early days, and that's where we're really hoping to help them scale and grow, is through those conversations, and hopefully, through conversations with people like yourselves and the association like the Board of Greater Vancouver.
Right, and it's a buffet here. For anybody who's looking for tricks, it's a buffet. Like tricks in your practice, new devices. It's where the action is in this conference. What was the other one? Plunk. Plunk was interesting. Plunk is AI software that will give your clients in real time the value of their house as close as it can be without your intervention, but through your portal. So you're still going to be the one who's seen as the expert, but they can actually call up, they can actually get into the portal and see what their places were. And how often do you get that question? And how often do you find clients sometimes go to another website with an IDX that maybe you don't have? So as a realtor, having a valuation tool, which I don't think is in Canada yet, it's in America.
Not yet, yep.
But I told them, I said, for someone who's virtual, why do you care about an imaginary line at the 49th parallel?
Well, and this is part of what Reach Canada's core mission is to help empower that technology to come across the border.
Right. So, and the other thing is this, as realtors, when we come up with a valuation, the last thing we ever want to do, especially young realtors, is underprice a property and then realize what we did.
Oh.
A bully offer takes it low, and so having a backup number to check yourself. We know we can't use assessments, so this is really an interesting area.
So on Plunk, I love this one because you're a mentor with Reach Canada, part of the broader Reach global network, and Plunk is from the U.S. class of 2021. And so the really amazing part about what the Reach network has been able to curate is not just Canadian companies and not just companies that are servicing Canada, but also offering that opportunity to share that lens on what it looks like from a global perspective when it comes to solutions for realtors, brokers, the associations, and the industry as a broader whole. So your awareness of Plunk, a US-based tech company, came through Reach and Reach Canada. And so we have over 150 companies in our portfolio since 2013 that we've worked with, and we're just getting started. And so there's in another way, it takes the work away from you having to go out and curate what are those really up and coming great solutions. That's literally what we do every single day.
We're actually taking a global view of the profession. It's not each realtor for himself trying to find a solution that only they're going to hoard. I mean, if we're all doing a better job, we all have the latest tools, it won't be that our clients can just get on Expedia for real estate and not need their agent. There's just too much value added that we're going to bring as an organization.
Well, and just to build on that, again, the technology solutions that we're looking at is to enhance your value proposition to the consumer and to give that much, not improved, but value added experience.
Here's another one. Rental Beast.
Yep.
Rental Beast curates data using artificial intelligence from all kinds of sources. Could be Craigslist, could be anywhere, right? And brings it to MLS platforms. Now, we all know, especially in Vancouver, in BC, that there's such a low vacancy rate that you almost don't have to care about listing a property in multiple platforms. Someone's going to rent it as a landlord. But as a realtor, and we don't get too much involved in the rentals, at least from what I know. It provides a platform. If we can feed those listings in, and let's say there's 100,000 of them, it just becomes a more acceptable it becomes the portal of choice for consumers to search. So we know what's happened with commercial MLS. It got fragmented. Now you have to go to every website. Not so simple.
Yep.
Well, if you take the renters in now, which will become a main chunk of them will become buyers, and you bring them into the total population, and you decide to work with them as a new realtor, you may have a feeder chain to your new first-time buyers in a couple of years. So you're building relationships. We're also the glue that's making all things real estate go to the main portal, realtor.ca.
So Rental Beast is a really great example of a company that's doing amazing things that right now, currently, I wouldn't say is on the radar. Again, as you articulated, Arnold, rentals are only going to become more important as affordability decreases, as supply becomes more scarce. And so for practitioners to not have that data, that rental data in their MLS, is actually a detriment to the service that you can provide to your client. So why not have that rental data within the MLS? Now, unfortunately, we haven't been able to curate that data through ourselves and through our own data entry as real estate practitioners because we've been focused on the buy and sell. So what Rental Beast has been able to do is go out and curate that data for us, which then empowers us with more information, and now we can be of higher value to a broader range of customers moving forward.
And what a huge amount of data to take off.
Massive.
The input of MLS departments are data input forms from realtors.
Yeah.
And, I asked the question. I said, what happened? How do we handle the 3 pillars of agency to make sure that the data was touched by a licensee?
Yep.
And the numbers bear up for themselves that first of all the risks are different because you're not buying the property,
right? Yep.
But secondly, there's been out of millions of transactions, very very few in the way of complications. So that's interesting. That opens up a whole world of people that we wouldn't even meet as professionals.
Yeah.
Now it goes on and on. I think there's 20 companies here, and we can't hit them all today.
Again, we have over 150 companies in our portfolio,
Right.
And right here alone, we have 18 tables, and we're actually switching out. It's like a line change tomorrow. So we had the U.S. residential and commercial. Right now, we swap out. We have the Canadian and the UK teams tomorrow.
And there's lending company software too. There's lending company, and then there's management of transaction software. And what I see as the latest trend would be fragmenting ownership pieces in real estate, whether going on a stock exchange or in a deal, or allowing mature commercial property deals, developers to parcel out small increments and still keep control and put it on a stock exchange where so limited partners could have an exit strategy.
Yeah.
So you're seeing some focus on, real estate's traditionally been illiquid, right?
Yep.
And you could die with a limited partnership agreement in your saving.
I would hope not, but you could.
In your safety deposit box.
Yep.
We're seeing some focus on exit strategies now to create a little more liquidity in markets, and anybody who does any development work would surely see the advantage of that.
Well, yeah, and just to build on that, that's a really, really cool company. Again, without getting into the specifics of the detail, being able to
We didn't mention which company.
right, Lex Markets.
Lex
right.
Markets,
so
it's another one.
So just to take it a step forward from what that is, right, without getting into the details, being able to provide liquidity on a fractional component of an asset is only something that we are able to do now because of technology. And so as a practitioner, being, number one, aware that this is an option for your clients. Number two, understanding that it's an option for potential other clients to acquire. And then being able to speak knowledgeably about that in such a way that, let's say on an investor client is contemplating something, you have more information to empower your customer. Again, it's value add. Without having that technology on the table, your customer doesn't have as much knowledge to make the potential investment decision.
And just another thing, real estate is not cheap as an asset.
Nope.
So sophisticated investors in BC are $150,000 minimums, right?
Yeah.
But when you could fragment it and you could put it on a stock exchange, all of a sudden somebody could buy $50 worth of shares, or $1,000 worth of shares.
Changes the potential business model for investors altogether.
Right.
And so when you think of all these things stacking upon itself, it's a lot. And so one of the core reasons why REACH was created by the National Association of Realtors was so that the individual agents and the individual associations and boards didn't have to do this, because it's a lot.
It's not in the mindset. I can tell you that.
Well, it's not in the mindset, but it's also not your core business.
That's
right.
That's it.
And I mean, your core business,
customer satisfaction,
correct,
administration,
right,
not venture capital.
That's right. And not to say that it can't be, but it takes away from you getting a paycheck. And there's a lot to sift through, and there's a lot of trends to identify and be a part of. And so that's one of the cool parts about what we do, is we get to sit back. We don't have to buy and sell homes. We don't have to run associations. But we can be that value-added component where we work with the technology that we have heard specifically from individuals like yourself and associations and brokers and agents that the industry needs. And so then we go and we find them, right? And let me tell you, they're usually there. You just got to look harder. And work with them to make their solutions even more valuable to the real estate ecosystem. And honestly, as I've said multiple times, I think it's the best job in the world.
So, I don't know how he sleeps at night, because he knows he's got to wake up and he's got so many neat things to do the next morning. Like, I want to live vicariously a little bit, but I'm excited too. And I stay awake thinking of some of these things. And the people there's so much energy in the room. As a REACH mentor, we meet once or twice a month.
Yep.
And it's our own Dragon's Den, where we pull apart and we put guys right on the hot seat. It's terrific.
We try to keep it friendly, right? And that's the whole thing. But to your point, we also want more people like you, Arnold. So the more engaged, the more involved the industry, the better it is for us, the better it is that we are at our jobs, and the better technology that's going to be built for the practitioner. And so with that, this really is an awareness campaign as well. Sure. So the more people in Canada, the more people in Vancouver, BC that know about REACH and what we're doing, we want to talk with you. We want to talk with more individuals like yourself.
Bring us your dreams and your crazy ideas.
And from technology to needs to pains, we want to hear it all. And from that, again, it really empowers us to do amazing, amazing work and build on the foundation that I think has really set us up and the Realtor up for the second century of success.
We're just going to close on a high five here, because it's been a freaking ride.
Let's do it.
Let's have a great year.
Thanks, Arnold.
Thanks for talking to us.
Appreciate it.